Happy Monday, everyone. It is December. And what better person to interview than our own local Santa? He literally flew in to visit me here today. Oh my God. And this is so awesome. So I am wearing my hat. I'm not Mrs. Claus here today. But we're here to bring you some cheer, and I need to introduce you to Kevin Meyers. He is a local here. Well, he's going to tell the story, and we do not have a script here at the Widow Walk, but he is going to speak to us from a widower's perspective. We're bringing a man onto the scene. The only men who have been in these videos have been ones that have remarried, widowers that have remarried. Kevin Meyers has not remarried at this present time, but he is willing to have a conversation. He has a military background. I hope he's going to share a little bit about that. So we're here to bring our cheer to represent the Christmas cheer and holiday, and we just want to share some things with you. So with no further ado, welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Very nice to be here, and it's very nice to talk to you all from a widower's perspective. I am a widower. My wife passed about 5 weeks before Micah's husband passed, so it's been almost 8 years now, in 2017. From a military background, I did 30 years in the Navy. So I was a Master Chief Petty Officer and retired from that. I've been retired ever since, but I volunteer work at our church, the Rock Church, and through the Widowers Group now, Widows Group, Widow Walk, and try to help others. Just as a little bit of testimony from myself, I did not have a good childhood. Did not enjoy my childhood at all. And I was supposed to die when I was 8 years old. I had rheumatic fever, a heart disease, and back then they knew very little about it. All they could do was give me massive doses of penicillin. And I had massive doses of penicillin until I joined the Navy at 18.
Wow.
So, the good Lord has wrapped his arms around me and kept me safe and taken care of my family for years and years and years. He's been with me all my life. And any testimony I can give to him, all praise goes to him. He's wrapped his arms around me at 8 years old. He's stayed with me. He's wrapped his arms around me in the military a couple of times and kept me alive, and I believe for a purpose. I believe we all have a purpose. We don't all know what our purpose is, and some of us spend our entire lives searching for it. His purpose for me, number one, was to go in the military right out of high school and spend 30 years. I was a sonar technician in the Navy. By trade, as a Master Chief Petty Officer, you kind of move out of your trade and become more into leadership roles. I was Command Master Chief for the Destroyer Squadron 28, and we deployed with the Theodore Roosevelt Battle Group. So my last station was working out of the combat center on the Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, that was a mouthful, y'all, and that we are just getting started. Another thing about his story that I do want him to share is that he has a very unique story where he adopted his great-granddaughter that he calls his daughter, because she is. And even though sometimes hard circumstances bring people together, at 7 years old, right?
Yes.
He became a single parent, a great-grandfather, single parent. Y'all, Santa became my great-grandfather, single parent. Okay, that is a mouthful. And these kind of stories get me giddy inside because, as he just said, the Father has been with him since 8 years old. And that testimony is carrying over in his great-granddaughter Kimmy's life. At 7 years old, people came and covered her and have been standing in the midst of hardship. And so instead of it becoming something, as we would call generational, some things that can happen that don't seem positive, he has spun it into a positive, and it's given him life. If he knew that he would be doing this way, there may have been a different conversation, but I believe in my heart that he would have said yes, even if he would have known either way. And so, can you share a little bit about that experience?
Sure, I'd love to. Kimberly is my great-granddaughter. She's also my daughter. I've had her since the day she was born. Me and my wife took her home from the hospital. They would not let her leave the hospital with her parents because she was born dirty. Some type of drug in her system. Privacy Act, they wouldn't tell us what, but they wouldn't let her leave the hospital with her parents. So we've had her literally since the day she was born. My wife passed when she was 7 years old, so that's when I became instant Mr. Mom. And that's quite interesting. But I will say this, a lot of people want to tell me that I'm such a blessing to her, but I want to tell everybody that she is a blessing to me. Quite frankly, I don't know where I'd have been or what I'd have done or how I would have dealt with my wife's death. We were married for 40 years. But I didn't have time to even think about it because being an instant Mr. Mom, I had childcare to do. I had to instantly start taking care of her and all of her needs, and it was a process. So we had ended up adopting her when she was 2 years old because we've had her the entire time. We waited a period to see what would happen with the parents, and then we adopted her. But she's a blessing to me. She's 15 years old now. In about 6 months, she'll be driving. So I'm getting all those experiences again. I have 3 children, 13 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren now. So I'm blessed in many ways and have been my entire life. And Kimberly is certainly a blessing to me.
And you hear this, y'all. This is just everything that he is, that comes into his path. He accepts it. And he, as he says, the good Lord comes on along the ride with him. We are capable of doing more than we even believe in ourselves to do. And here at the Widow Walk, I really believe that when we are faced with great loss, 40 years is a long time of doing things with someone else, your helpmate. When marriages are good, and even though they go through their rocky places, I believe, in every marriage, ultimately he had a good thing. And for them in their latter years to take on doing this again, just as a testament of how big him and his wife's heart are and were, and for her was. And he really didn't, you came into the church in 2017, is that correct?
I did.
And this man is a hard worker. So he is, has been helping me on and off for the past, I don't know, it wasn't in the beginning.
No, it was just the past couple of years.
Yes, okay, so he's been around, but the conversations didn't start between us until probably the last 2 years, more specifically. And as my daughter, who is going to be 13 this month, and her daughter, his daughter, have been interacting in sports and school and things like that, we've overlapped more because of our children, really, and then found out more about our story. Can you share a little bit about what does the Christmas holiday, what does representing Santa, what is that experience like?
Sure, I will. It's a wonderful experience. Everybody should believe in Santa. I believe in Santa. And just to let you know a little bit of background about that, religion and Santa Claus don't always intertwine, okay? And our church, in particular, Rock Church, they don't do Santa Claus, okay? And most churches don't. But I go to a lot of churches at Christmas time as Santa Claus. But I have a unique way of presenting to the children what Santa Claus is all about. Because basically, Christmas is a giant birthday party for Jesus Christ.
That's so good.
Of course. And so I teach them the real reason behind Christmas. I use the Santa Claus as a platform to teach the children and minister to the children and try to let them know what the holiday is. It's not Santa Claus. It's a giant birthday party. In birthday parties, you have gifts, you have presents, you have everybody rejoicing and celebrating a birthday, which is exactly what we do at Christmas time.
I love it.
And, you know, at birthday parties, they have a clown. I don't want to say I'm a clown, but, you know,
you have a costume.
I'm the one that comes in representing what the holiday is. Because the holiday is Jesus' birthday. It's not about Santa Claus. Santa Claus came much later.
And what do you find when you see these kids sitting on your lap and telling you the different things, and maybe some of them you can sense that they may not have as much as others? What does that do in your heart, and how do you feel like the Lord uses you in that way?
Well, it tears your heart out when you have these children sitting on your lap that just don't have the means, that the parents, the family just doesn't have the means to give the celebration that we all know as Christmas, with lots of gifts, and we spoil our children rotten, of course. Give them candy, give them fruit, give them presents. But not everybody has that experience. But all of them can experience Santa Claus and the birthday of Jesus Christ. And it's a wonderful feeling to do it. I have an entire collection of letters to Santa and little colored drawings that children give me, and some of them are just, "Pleased to meet you, Santa Claus. I'm so happy to be here." I have tons of letters that I get from them. And in fact, this week I just had sent to my phone from my daughter. Kimberly received a text from one of her friends who's now 18. And she sent her a text with a picture attached, and it was her about this tall with Santa Claus, me. And I now have, in particular in the town of Windsor, I have people adults bringing me their children now that they came to me when they were children. And it's really a good feeling that you're affecting somebody's life in a positive manner. And every child gets a candy cane from Santa Claus. I provide all the candy canes. I've never taken a penny for doing Santa Claus or any other of my volunteer work. I am taken care of through my retirement in the military. I am not in need of anything. So when I retired from the military, after 30 years, I had to have a long talk with the Lord. I sat down and I said, because I was kind of lost. I'm like, what do I do now? I've done everything. I've been everywhere in the world. There's nothing left for me to see or do. I said, so Lord, you've been with me all my life. You've taken care of me all my life. You've taken care of my family all my life. I said, what am I supposed to do now? I know you have a purpose. I'm still here, so it's not fulfilled.
That's right.
And you have to listen to the Lord. God will tell you, but you have to listen. It may be just a feeling inside of your heart. It may be something mental that you get a picture of, but He is talking to you. You just have to train yourself to listen to Him. And most times that's in a totally quiet environment. But the Lord told me, He said, you're right. He said, I have taken care of you all your life. I've been with you. I've folded my arms around you and protected you.
Wow.
He said, now it's your turn to give back. I want you to help others. So this is what I do. I try to help others in any capacity that I can. I get out my chainsaw when necessary.
That's including me. That's including me.
I get leaves up when necessary.
That's including me.
I go and do lawns or bushes or whatever is required to help somebody, excuse me, that is in need of some help. And oftentimes the way that relates to this group in particular is that oftentimes the widows are left and everybody's there when their spouse passes.
Yes, in the beginning.
In the beginning. They're all there that first week or two.
For sure.
Now slowly you start to notice over a month that they start to drift off. They're all there telling you that they want to help you. They are here for you.
They are.
But you all know that after a month or two, when the bushes are starting to need trimmed, when the yards are starting to need done, when the gardens are starting to need tending to, when a limb falls on a tree, you need help.
Yes.
And they're all gone.
That's it.
They don't answer their phone anymore. It's not as important to them. Or when they do answer the phone, they're just busy with something else.
Yes.
Oh, I can't help you today because... And it's always a good excuse because they do. They have younger families.
Yes.
They are busy with their lives. So it's not a blame game. I'm not asking anybody to blame anybody. It's not
our
a blame
reality.
game.
It's our reality.
It is our reality as life. And so I notice the same things, and so now I try to help the widows any way I can. The children are very important to me. I told you earlier that I did not have a good childhood. I want every child to have the childhood that I did not have.
Do you hear this, y'all? This is the real deal. Here at the Widow Walk, our mission is to help you find your new start, for you have a new finish. And because of the relationship he already had with the Lord, and it doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that he was happy about all these things that happened, and I'm not saying that he didn't have some candid conversations with the Lord, but he heard clearly, which propelled him to have purpose beyond the loss. And I heard this on the radio one time, and it was probably on Caleb, and they mentioned this thing to focus on who's left, not who you lost.
It's true.
And so I said, man, that is so good. Grief the grief emotion evokes a response. It provokes you to respond. And here at the Widow Walk, I'm encouraging every widower and widow to really dig deep, if you want to call it, and ask the Lord, what do you desire of me now? What is my life? What do you want to do with it? Because the energy that he gave to his spouse is now given back. And I have heard this said, that grief is love with no place to go. And people get very depressed and lonely in their widow or widower state. And I can't say we haven't felt that. But I am thankful in my situation, that a pastor came through our church probably within the first year and gave me a word that I wasn't expecting or looking for. And he said, Micah, the Lord wants you to know that you will never be lonely and you will never be alone. And 7.5 years later, I can testify that has been true. I have gone places alone. I've walked into hospitals alone and end up in the elevator with somebody that I know. I've walked into funerals alone and sit beside somebody that I know. I've walked into the airport alone and sit beside my neighbor in the plane. Things that I could not control. And yet, he brought people alongside me right when I needed it. That is what we want to encourage you with here this holiday season. When you are feeling that the holidays conjure up a lot of emotion because you remember the good old times, if you want to call it. And sometimes you don't want to make good times now in the present. And what I'm telling you is the Father is so very present, and he is there to be with you. He's near to the brokenhearted, and that nearness brings belonging, brings a fulfillment, really, because the more that he tells us who we are in him and how he sees the rest of our days being lived out. And we are here to tell you that we're in the service industry, y'all. We are in the ministry of helps. The ministry of helps is really what we do. He was doing this before this Widow Walk was founded. I talked with him many times, hours, y'all, processing some of these things. And he said, well, your brain works really fast, Micah. So I think you can do this. I'm going to get behind you. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're thinking it. I said, well, look, so I usually have had a little caffeine when I've talked to him. So that helps that speed get a little bit faster. And I have had some here today too. But what I'm here to tell you is where did love go? Out to you, into the community, into the highways and the byways. His smile brings joy to people. Our hats, people enjoy our hats. It brings, it brings joy to people. And red ones especially. And so when he wore his hat and I told him wear something festive, I'm being mindful of that. Why? Because bright, cheery colors put a smile on people's face, y'all. So we are here as, I may just be a little like Santa's elf type of thing, and we are here to serve in this community. In 2024, we've been doing it, and especially in 2025. I'm telling you, y'all, we are coming alive in 2025. There's more happening than meets the eye. You're going to start seeing us in different places. And let me tell you, call on your widows and widowers this holiday season. I'm going to be a broken record saying this. We need to hear from you because, like I said, the holidays haunt us a little bit about missing. We miss things. And we can almost feel like we're missing out. Because as he's saying, why do people not contact us anymore? Because they go back to their life.
That's right.
Life as normal, okay? But for the widow and widower, normal is busted. Our normalcy, life as we knew it, is completely gone. And so we are walking out a new life. And that is easier with Christ because we have a new life in Christ. And what I encourage you with is that we can co-create with Christ. And when you sit with the Father in the stillness, like he's saying, he gives you purpose. He gives you direction. He guides you. And he reminds you of things that he's told you in the past to get you back on the path if you got a little bumped off because of this or that. It's okay. He loves you. If we are here to tell you anything else this holiday season, can you just encourage the listeners about God's love?
Let me mention, Micah, at this time you were talking so much about grief. Just a couple of real quick things I'd like to mention. Grief can be all-consuming. And it is all-consuming if it's left unchecked.
Wow.
Going into the holiday season, this is very important from the widow and widower's perspective. Do not let grief control you.
It's good.
You're going to have some grief. We all have grief.
Yes.
40 years, me and my wife were like one person. I miss her tremendously. Okay, so I don't want to give you the idea that I don't miss my wife.
That's right.
That's not true at all.
That's right.
But do not let grief control your life. You have to control the grief.
Wow.
And going into the holiday season, it's one of the hardest times of the year for people because everybody in their workaday lives, look at all those friends that disappeared. Look at all the younger people around.
They're having a great time.
Everybody waits all year for the holiday
Yes.
season to get here. Okay, and so it's an emotional time. And what's one of the biggest emotions?
Grief.
Grief. So you have to get through that. Another thing I'd like to mention real quick as a paid advertisement, no, not paid, is that we need more widowers in our group.
Thank you.
Okay? There's only 2 guys coming to the group and maybe so far 15 or so women that are
Yes.
coming to the meetings. We need more guys because we did say that we are also trying to do a self-help thing here. But that doesn't mean that the guys do all the work.
That's right.
It means that guys have more experience doing the guy things outdoors as a norm. So we're there to help them and guide them, and we can do things as a group.
Yes.
Go over and help somebody do a garden one day, or
That's
do
right.
a yard one day, or trim trees and bushes or whatever. The guys are there to help and to
Yes.
guide, but they don't necessarily have to do all the work. So don't
That's
think that we're just asking guys here so we can just lay everything on you.
That's right.
Because that's not it.
No, part of us stepping into our new story is growing our capacity to do things we haven't done before. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of anxiety that comes along with that. There really is. And you don't even really know when it's coming. And one of the examples I use is just packing up the car to take a trip somewhere. And here in the holiday, you may be doing things that you typically did, but it feels different and harder to just pack the car. And so that gave me anxiety because I had to think about, had the bills been paid? Was it the first of the month? It's left on me, whatever I don't do. And so your brain goes into this kind of overdrive thing, and then you get overwhelmed by all the things you have to remember. And unfortunately for me, I don't write a checklist. So my checklist is my brain. And that's not always the best route, but that's the one that I work with, because I'll lose the checklist, and then I've wasted time writing the checklist, and now I don't have it when I go to the store, all those things. For those of you who do that, that is so awesome. But we travel. I've heard widows say that they have a hard time getting in groups now. Bigger groups, even if it's their own family, people not going to weddings.
Right.
Because of the anxiety, being in big groups. And it's too much emotionally for them to handle. So please check on your widows and widowers. We are hoping to take our widows and, like he said, do some team activities. And so instead of thinking, well, my husband and I were going to have a garden. Well, that's over. No, it's not. It's just going to look different. We're here to step in. And what I say is stand in. There's things that I've gone to funerals and realized that I was there because my husband would have been there. And so there's relationships that your wife had and that my husband had. And instead of it completely dying off, we can step in and stand in. And yes, it's not the same. I'm not my husband or have his personality, and they really would rather him be there. But for me to honor his place, I'm standing in that place.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it was tears that came down my face to say, he isn't here, but I'm here to tell you how much he loves you, and I was sent here in his behalf for you. That's the love of Christ, y'all, where he can use us in the midst of our own grieving to love on those around us. And so just a little small tiny mustard seed is enough love to spread.
It is.
And he has a beard, so I mean that just helps, like just innately he has joyful accessories. So I hope that this has encouraged you, that if you want to be part of a hands-on widow and widower team, this club, this community we're trying to build here, which I really believe is God-breathed, is here for you. And it's here to help you bridge the gap of your old life, and we are going to help be the bridge to help you walk into your new life. For us, we couldn't do it without Christ.
No.
We are celebrating Christ this holiday season. As he said, how beautiful that he uses Santa as a way to share the birthday of Jesus Christ. That day was so powerful that the heavenly host had to come and serenade the shepherds. And so I hope you get out there, y'all. Find some carolers to sing. Go to the nursing homes and love on the elderly. I'm telling you, y'all, they love it.
I do some nursing homes, and let me tell you, there's nothing like walking into a nursing home. You think children are excited about Christmas? Let Santa walk into a nursing home.
I'm telling you, just the candy canes. It is a simple things we can do this holiday season to give the love that we've been given back out again. And I'm telling you, it's just like a funnel. You give it, he gives you more. You give it, he gives you more. And then until you're you're overflowing with joy.
Absolutely.
And so, do you have any final words?
Well, I'll have a surprise for you if we'll do another one after Christmas.
Okay.
I won't share with you what that surprise is right now, but I like to do one after Christmas.
Okay, well, we have a part 2 here in 2025. I love that. I love a cliffhanger here at the end of the year. This is about new beginnings. This is about end beginnings. I'm using that term. Things are ending and new things are beginning. When one door closes, another one opens. There are new doors opening for you. And we have experienced that ourselves. And they're perplexing at times.
Yes. I did want to mention also that, we are both very faith-based, if you haven't noticed already. We have deep-seated beliefs which actually helped us through our times of grief. Don't think that you watch this and you can't come to our group because you're not a believer. Okay, we have at least one that I know of that was never church bound, has never been exposed to church ideas, doesn't care anything about that. Okay, you do not have to be a believer, a Christian, or anything to come to the group. That's not what the group is about.
That's right.
We truly believe that through our faith, we are blessed and given a gift to share with others.
That's right.
So we are always going to share it. But don't stay away just because of that, please.
Thank you. That is and that is my heart completely. We're here to serve the widower and widower.
That's right.
That is the core of it. That is the core of the foundation of this widow walk. Our personal walks does bring in faith. We are not going to project that onto you exactly. We do share it because that's what love does. Love shares what they are in love with. And thankfully for us, Jesus came here as a baby. And we get to represent that. We get to celebrate that this time of year. And through all the hustle and bustle, please do not forget what he has done for us. For God so loved that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And I know for me, there's another scripture that says to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. And because the Father is omnipresent, I can be with the Father too. And so he connects me with my husband in that sense. I have peace in my heart to know that the Father that I'm feeling is also the same Father that he's experiencing as well. He's living in the fullness of it. We get in measure here. So we hope to see you in 2025. Our meetings are the second Thursday of every month. And there are those who have asked us to do a daytime gathering. If you are interested in that, we've been doing it in the evening. We're going to be having a Christmas party. If you are a widow or widower and you don't have anything to do on December 12th, that is next Thursday at 5 o'clock. We're going to be having a dinner right here in my house. There's going to be some surprises, y'all. I can't give it all away, but we are here to celebrate. We are here to celebrate. We're here to have some good food, good fellowship, and there's going to be gifts too, because as he said, there's gifts.
There are gifts at Christmas.
And we want to give back as well. So here in the last month of the year, if you want to help propel what we're doing, I ask you to give. There's a donation link on the website. And what does that go towards? So many things, Kevin.
It does.
It goes to so many things. As the needs arise with the funding, we are able to make a decision quickly and distribute that to those in need. That is evolving as we walk this walk together. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Mondays with Micah. Thank you, Kevin. I knew it was going to be awesome. Santa is turning up this December. Videos for y'all. Stay tuned next week. More stories from widows and widowers in this community. It's going to be great. Bye.